the Mexico Open. Did you guys watch any of this yesterday? Because that was, my dad had a little bet going down, I think on the back nine, because we were having cacciatore at my parents' house last night.
Ooh,
a little fall off the bone chicken, so good,
Yep.
so good. My mom made a delicious dinner last night, and we were just watching the golf, and it was must watch for a couple of no names. You got a guy that hasn't won in 185 starts or whatever it was, coming down against a guy that I couldn't even pronounce his name, and you're like, I have to watch this. Going into a sudden death make or break kind of tournament for guys that their lives are going to change. It delivered. The Mexico Open was very, very, very entertaining. I have no idea what the ratings were because I can't imagine that many people were watching it, but we can get into it. Like that final shot going out of bounds and coming back in for Campbell. I mean, wow. Talk about the golf gods.
Yeah, for real. And I would imagine the ratings were probably pretty low. It's one of those tournaments where after the fact, you're asking your friends and people around you, like, did you see that guy's shot that was going way out of bounds during a playoff hole and it bounced all the way back in? But it brought the goods. Yeah, I was watching it, and once that happened, who did your dad have, by the way?
Campbell.
There you go. That's nice. That's a good
dude,
side to be on.
We were watching it, and so he obviously had chances to win, like the whole entire kind of he was back. He was like 3 back, and then obviously in the head to head and in the sudden death, he had chances to win. They both weren't making putts. They both were just missing 5-footers, 6-footers, and it was just you couldn't believe it. It was agonizing to watch. One guy was in the bunker, one guy was short of the green, and then when Campbell hits it out of bounds, that initial it's over, and then it pops back out, and you're like, holy shit. You're still alive. As a gambler on the DraftKings Sportsbook, I can't even, our hearts were racing of the ups and downs. Can you imagine being the guy where you haven't won your whole entire life? You got your PGA Tour card in 2015, right? You've been grinding. You got it for 2015. You've been on the tour. In 2017, you lost it. You've been grinding on Monday qualifiers and Corn Ferry Tour events. You played 185 something events. You have a sudden death, hole for hole match to go win $1.2 million in Mexico. You got your girlfriend or fiance or wife, whoever was, going nuts on the sidelines.
Losing it.
You just missed a putt the hole before to win it. And now you watch this ball. He comes out to in that was like a swing that we would make. Gone instantly off.
That's a Rigsy drive for sure. I've hit that drive a million times.
It was
never
OB.
Back in play.
Goes out and then it starts to leak right, and you're just like, I fucking lost again. You know what I mean? He's just like, I blew it. I'm this close. And then all of a sudden you hear all these oohs and ahs. And then the guy in the tee box is like, you're in play. Like, holy, not only are you in play, but you're in the middle of the fairway.
It's also like
unbelievable stuff.
It's also like your name's Brian Campbell. And that's a name that you see on a million leaderboards bottom who's just not getting it done. No offense, probably a super nice guy, but Brian Campbell, just the name isn't moving the needle.
The golf in the Mexico Open is interesting because we talk all the time about, I think a lot of people would look at that leaderboard and just be like, ha, how lame is this? This is why we need LIV and the tour to come back together. And a lot of people were doing that throughout the weekend. Yet I also think it shows you that if you do get immersed in the storylines a little bit and you get a finish like you got there, the drama in golf is almost unmatched. When you've got playoffs, you've got people putting to change their lives. You've got the crazy bounce on the second playoff hole where that ball's going OB, and afterwards him and his caddy are toasting to the tree. It is interesting in that the Campbell story, he's basically Alistair. I mean, he's Alistair. That's exactly like Alistair Witt. He's never won on the Corn Ferry Tour before. He's 31 years old. He now all of a sudden, because of one tournament, he never had a top 10 of the PGA Tour in his life. One tournament, he wins. He gets a great bounce off a tree, but played great, of course, to even get there. He's last on the PGA Tour driving distance. I saw that. Yeah. And to compare the two of them, you've got this young 20-year-old South African stud who is Pot Gator, who is literally first in driving distance on the PGA Tour, averaging 326.9 yards off the tee against Brian Campbell, who's literally averaging 277.8 off the tee, and he's 145th in strokes gained off the tee, and he was 186th the driving distance. It's like these two guys going against each other. The Campbell story with all that was awesome because he won over $1 million. Yeah. He's now got 2-year exemption on the tour. He's into the Masters tournament. That is, as a guy that we all know as guys that know someone that's in this exact boat, it's insane how life-changing that is. Seeing the wife out there and the whole deal is like, you can really realize and sense how life-changing that is. So if you got immersed in the story, it was unbelievably awesome. Yet I can also see how in golf, like, that's just not going to really transcend for a lot of people. They're not going to tune that in if they see those names on the leaderboard. But I'm with you guys. Once you did do it, it was absolutely riveting, like every single shot. And it's also why, like, that par 5 is a great hole for a playoff, because it was like they were in this bunker. He hooks one left. Now he's got this chip shot. Campbell hits it out of bounds, gets a bounce, then hits a wedge to like 4 or 5 feet. It was like each time they played it, they were all in totally different spots. And that is really fun, rather than just watching them hit, fairway, hit a mid iron in there and try to make a putt. That hole kind of delivered, and it showed me that, like, the holes can really matter when it comes to a playoff like that. But yeah, I'm with you. It was actually pretty awesome for the Mexico Open.
Yeah, in a situation like that, you're asking a lot of the audience, which I don't think it's an unfair ask. Like, we talk a lot on the show, like, how do we get the ratings up? Like, we just got to get good players involved. And that is a big part of it, because largely the viewership that's just hanging around on a Sunday wants to get spoon-fed Rory McIlroy versus Bryson DeChambeau. They're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I'm going to go watch it. But in a situation like this with the Mexico tournament, the viewer actually has to have been following for the whole weekend, everything. They're listening to the broadcast. They're getting the information on who's Brian Campbell, who's this other guy. Oh, that one guy doesn't hit it very far, and the other guy hits it really far. And, if you do take the time and get invested in it, that golf tournament yesterday can be something that's just as thrilling as 2 big names coming down the stretch at a big tournament.
Yeah, my uncle was watching with me and my dad last night, and he's a sports fan, but he's a casual golf watcher. He doesn't know any of the storylines. He knows the big names. And he actually said at one point, because me and my dad were talking about all these storylines about, like, the Alistair type story and how this guy, and I'm getting, like, dramatic about it, like really saying all the things out loud, being like, this guy's about to putt for the rest of his life. Like this, like they're showing his wife, like, she knows that this changes everything for them. And my uncle's like, this is how I have to watch golf, is like with people that actually know golf, because I'd just be watching this and it was kind of boring. Like, I don't know, like there's no meaningful putt. There's no meaning to these putts to a guy that's just watching it and kind of like channel surfing.